she'd come out of a Kentucky Downs race, and I had said where I don't really have a handle coming out of it. But the one thing I do have a handle on is the same one everybody else has, which is they usually come out with a good foundation. And I said, if Eric Consell,
she needed it at the line.
Well, she was able to be right on the pace. I mean, the race actually unfolded the way I thought it was going to unfold, and she won. Now, and the other thing I wanted to say was, I mean, for me, still Spain at $114 is the biggest horse I've ever put out in public, and I thought the horse was 15-1. The horse was 30-1 on the morning line.
Up.
But I really thought the horse was like a 15 or 20-1 shot. And here's the other thing, Seth, that you can't believe. She looked like a winner the whole way. I mean, if you were sitting at home and didn't see you were like, I want this horse right here. And then she scored. So, and I had a couple others. So I think I was trying to calculate this because I think I'm going to have at least 60 days publicly in the black. The 40 for Saratoga. I needed this horse at Saratoga. The 40 at Saratoga in this autumn, I'm going to be pretty good. But there was, I can't believe when I saw 47-1. And then I was thinking my other thing, because I take tremendous, it's not pride, but I take tremendous borderline consternation to do this job very well. And I was thinking, I don't know how many public handicappers have given out a $97 winner, not counting the Breeders' Cup. There's only been about 8 winners in the Breeders' Cup, but that'd be a race where $100, it's very hard, I think. But once again, I thought the horse was like a $30 horse. And I've talked about this before with Country House and Bill Mott. The horse was 30-1 in the morning line in the Derby, and I thought was worth 20-1. And we had this conversation after Rich Strike. I think he was 80-1 or more. I don't think American Apple was a 45-1 shot in that race, but she was good, and thank you, and
the
felt
Kentucky
good.
Downs was a win. The prior race.
Yeah, so
that also says, geez, we're coming out of Kentucky Downs with a nice performance. The 47-1.
It didn't make sense by American.
But it
Pharaoh.
was a big field. It was an 11-horse field.
Right. So it was great, like I said, and then
also they were kind of unknown connections.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then here John Ambrial, I'm thinking, that's good. So people are capital, but thank you. But it was, it was kind of funny Friday because I heard we were going to do something, and Seth was a little under the weather, so we did something else, which was fine, and then I had family plans, so I had to go. But I was, when Saturday came, because we did it on Friday. I was saying I think it's only about the 3rd time, Seth, in my 25 years that I've taped something.
Maybe you should do it more often.
I was thinking, boy, that worked out pretty well. But what I was really thinking was, and he's off camera because he's not on the camera ever. But I really want to thank Dan Hayes, who he came in and did, he made it possible, to do it because I wasn't able to do it on Saturday. But American Apple at $97, it worked out.
Very good.
Very
good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And we tweeted it up. And you can go down my Twitter feed and pull up I took the clip out of the show because it was worth taking a second look at, certainly. All right, we ready to roll? Because we got another race coming up, Champions as well.
We're going to, you guys are going to get, obviously, the action, which is the most important thing we do at the network, so don't worry about that. We will keep you up on Champions Day, but we'll turn our attention to the Big A.
All right, Belmont at the Big A. First race, maiden specials. They are scheduled to go 8.5 furlongs on the grass.
547 for me, ladies and gentlemen, and keeping my eye out for number 9, Idea Generation, who Dubai Millennium, kind of like Arrogate, left us way too early, but he left us with Dubai Week to carry on his lineage. So that's Chad and Klarovich. But I am 547. Our Rose All Day. Safi Joseph, runner, makes the first start on turf. Has run on the synthetic at Gulfstream Park, including a runner-up second rooting in the second career start. For second, number 4, Cookie Crumbles, an offspring of Mendelssohn, who was the son of Scat Daddy, who, yes, through Justified, but Scat Daddy initially had been a good turf stallion. Another one left us too soon. And for third, an offspring of the tremendous stallion, More Than Ready, number 7 on the payroll. 547, an Aqueduct's opener.
Race number 2, they're going to travel the 1-turn mile. It is a race for maiden 20 claimers.
And at Saratoga, I had particularly talked about the, fire sale claimers, and they seem to have done very well. Brad Cox had one early in the meet, then Wayne Catalano had one early in the meet, and Firewolves is 4-5, running first time for a tag for Brad Cox. Second start since late February. On the outside with Manny Franco will be my top pick. Number 7, Firewolves. It's 7-4-6 for me. The idea is just sometimes, with these layoffs, I've kind of thrown that out the window. With these fire sale horses, I haven't, I've thrown out the idea of the window of, why are they in here for this price? I'm like, just tag me along. So I'm on the outside. Number 4, Dancing Sophia, second off the $40,000 claim. Has run on the dirt once. That was an off-the-turfer at Tampa. Distance of ground, runner-up position. Gets back to the dirt today. And for third, number 6, Regal Rebel. First off the claim for Linda Rice. They take blinkers off. 7-4-6.
Third race, we're looking at state-bred allowance runners, non-winners of one other than types, going 7 furlongs.
And just a quick note, the 3 and the 5 who were cross-entered yesterday did not go. And if I meant to make a note. I think yesterday was a rare day at the Big A, rare at any racetrack. The dirt surfaces had 3 different conditions. The reason I bring that up is because I actually have a little post-it note on number of days that do that. And the reason I do it is I'm less inclined to trust the buyer speed figures on this day, not because of anything they do, but because the track is very goofy on those days. It's going through a lot of stuff, and we had the off-the-turf late, which I know for horizontal players had some consternation. But I'm 4-2-3. 42 Ace is not one of the cross-entered horses. Charlie Baker's runner 2 races back at Saratoga out of the Wilson chute, had a good effort. I'm throwing out the 1X effort at this level. I thought was just crunched up by the pace. Shortens up to 7 furlongs here, and I think we'll have a softer early pace leading to a better result. For second, number 2, G Munning. Munnings has continued to be an outstanding stallion, the son of Spicetown. Runner-up, easily beaten at the Spa, going 7/8 most recently. And for third, one of the cross-entered horses, Rob Atris, number 3, Dangerous Edge. And I think Rob's barn, quiet for the 7 or so weeks at Saratoga, but I think really waking up here. 4-2-3.
Race number 4, Belmont at the Big A, turf for maiden special weight runners.
Coming into this meet, Seth, I thought that by name recognition, Rudy Rodriguez, Orlando Noda, and Rob Atris would be the 3 trainers that I thought would recycle into better days, and I think that they have, but it's not because of any brilliance on my part, but it's the nature of the game for particularly trainers that have, claiming horses. They're just not going to stay that cold that long. So, 3-7-4 for me in here as we were in the outer turf. Western Lane, who's 8-1 on the morning line, intrigues me very much. The offspring of Candy Ride debuted at Keeneland, the spring meet. Didn't run well at all. Didn't return to the races until late September out of the Brad Cox barn. I'm just thinking that not everything went well at 15-1 on debut. It went much better at 50+1. Second start, back to rooting, which is what this horse did debuting. I draw inside, so I like Western Lane with Kendrick Carmouche very much here. For second, number 7 going out for Bill Mott. The 9th career start. Only off the board once, though, in the 8 previous. Unfortunately, 5 of them are thirds. And for third, number 4, Libretto. going out for Giorgio Abreu, who we were together doing Racing Across America when he came on. He's having a very quietly good meet. Now, I know these stats are just not updated, but he's winning at about 15, 16%. He had a winner. This has 2 for 20. He has a winner, but 3-7-4 in the fourth.
Headed to the Breeders' Cup with one of these horses, too, I read the other day.
Okay.
I also wanted to mention the number 5 horse in here, the trainer with no stats, Axel Solaris.
Four horses today.
Guessing. And as I was handicapping the other day, there was one of the horses in there that seemed to indicate this, and I just looked it up now. I meant to look it up the other day when I was handicapping. If you're not familiar, Tom Morley's on kind of a brief suspension. This is his assistant, so it's essentially a Tom Morley barn horse.
Yeah.
But she's taking over while he's on the sidelines. All right, the 5th at Belmont at the Big A, conditional claimer, 3/4 of a mile.
I will take both parts of the entry. I have, so it's 1E, 4, and 9 for me. As I said, I'm comfortable with taking both of them. And if you haven't watched what there was, when David Jacobson came back to training, he had entered a couple horses at Saratoga. There've been some scratches. I think he's back in the mix. I think his horses are, watching his horses, I think he's live pretty quickly coming back to the game. And I'll take either number 1, Maximum Moment, or the 1A, Chardile. Either one, they have different jockeys listed, so they both could go. The 1A coming in from California off of a big victory. Eric Consell, clearly my favorite jockey under the sun for at least a month, has Maximum Moment. I'll take either one. For a second, and I presume this is the horse that Andy Sterling tweeted out about 3 days ago, because if you've ever noticed and you watch Talking Horses, I don't know how he does it, but Andy's working on the farthest out of the form sheets. I cannot do that. It gets too congested for me. But Holy Matrimony, first time tag, but far more importantly, folks, the last time this horse ran was a year before COVID. Let that sink in for a moment. We are talking 3.5 years. Michael Dickinson is watching with envy today. This horse had 2 starts, March of 2019 and April of 2019. Now, I must say, Seth, this horse is testing my throw out the layoff line. I don't think on a major circuit like this, Seth, I've ever seen that type of layoff. I know DeHaas, who won in 96 and 98, the Breeders' Cup. That was 2 years. He only had 1 race between the two. But I've never seen 3.5 years. But I'm on board. I'm on board. And for third, number 9 is Got the Gold. I will say this. At New York, Seth, you might remember this horse a long time ago. Wayne Lucas had him first. Jimmy Islin had him second. Horse's name was Double Negative. He was a good horse, a good sprinter. Obviously had issues. He was off about 2 years. Changed barns, came back with Jimmy Islin, won a couple of races. Then he ran in the old A Phenomena Stakes. He's the longest horse layoff I have winning in New York in the last 35 years. And this horse trumps that layoff. 3.5 years.
Well, when you say Twitter, are you sure it was Andy Serling or David Aragona? Because David Aragona is very skeptical this horse will make the starting gate today.
No, okay.
Given the situation. So he tweeted about the horse as well.
I think Andy's was much simpler. It was just mentioned like the layoff, like 3.5 years. Well, like what? I mean, I'd be interested. Like, this is Rob Atras. Do you figure the horse is on the grounds? I'm like, I'd be interested from David, who I think is a great source of information. I mean, because there was some thoughts when David Jacobson entered horses, whether they'd run or not. I'd be very interested what his thought.
Mean, it is the first 2 races, which were very good. Statebred made special statebred allowance. They come back for a 16 tag off the layoff. They could have come back for the waiver, I'm assuming.
Oh, you would think? Well, I know one thing. My favorite part of the story is the old trainer retired in the interim. That's my favorite part, that Gary Gullaha's retired.
All right, 5 down, 5 more to go at Belmont at the Big A. I'll have Keeneland a little bit later on. And again, we are in the midst of British Champions Day as well, so we'll have those stakes throughout the morning. Stay tuned.
Doesn't get any better than this, Tom. They're all in line, ready for the start.
And they're off.
American Merrow comes into his final furlong. Breeders' Cup winner, a horse of a lifetime.
This is unbelievable. It's one of the most sensational ever.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
What if there was a way to become a better horse player, to have a better knowledge of the game, to be more successful? What if there were a way to take what you've learned, what you know, and make better decisions, better choices? In horse racing, knowledge is a powerful tool. Race results and replays, past performances and live streaming, wagering from all your digital devices. Capital OTB. Become a better horse player.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report on this Saturday morning. Seth, Merrow, and Anthony Mormino. Anthony in the midst of Belmont at the Big A, and while we were off, pulled up Mark Hennig, who is always very reliable, and
147.
1, 4, and
Off the
7
turf.
are off, which have now lost.
Only one MTO in the 7th.
1, 4, and 7 are off. 6, 9, and 10 remain on the turf.
And according to Twitter, they had a wedding in the family the other day.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, here.
Yes.
It was clearly the
Paul Springs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, 6th race this afternoon. And again, that one remains on.
Yes.
So we're on the turf for maiden specials.
496. Evan Harlan gets my top pick, coming out of most recently running down in Virginia in the middle of July. Adds blinkers this afternoon after just getting beat. Number 9, Aruba. Jorge Abreu sends out this runner. Only the second start since January. Love the comeback race, going a mile on the inner here. And for third, number 6, Border War, who at double-digit odds, that seems to be hard to imagine for Mr. McGahee. 4, 9, and 6 in the 6th, which at this moment remains on the turf.
7th race, however, is off the turf. We're looking at state-bred optional claimers. Non-winners are 2 other than the condition. It was scheduled for 6 furlongs
Right.
on the turf, but again, now goes to the main track.
You know, the consternation for public handicappers at 928 for a 350 race is who's staying in. And if I was guessing, and I am, the 3, the 1, the 7, to me, certainly, the 8, the 1A, and the 9 are leading candidates for coming out because they have, such turf racing in it. Now, I'm guessing it's going to, and we had this yesterday, is we're going to be off the turf, but it's going to be a fast dirt course, which I always think is funny that we couldn't, and it's a clear, fast racetrack, and we only have the 1 MTO, which is the 10, which would be in the mix in here. We had the 3-horse field the other day at the Big A. I don't know. Like I said, I'm thinking the 2, the entire 1 entry is coming out. Theodore Grace, as a person who had her at double-digit odds, I think she's definitely coming out. That's my opinion. And the 8 and the 1A. To me, you see the 9, 3, 1. I would keep Social Whirl in here from the Morley barn. The 10 is a major player in here. Of the horses I think would be remaining is the 2. So for me, I mean, it's the 10 on top of the 2 in my new picks over, let's see who I think might stay in, would be the 5. But I'm thinking this is going to be about a 5-horse field We only have one MTO, and I think there are at least 5 very confirmed turf runners in here.
8th race this afternoon, a plain vanilla claimer, $32,000 tags. They'll travel the 1-turn mile.
And one of the things I like that they do, and Andy Sterling puts it up almost all the time, is he takes a photo. Well, they put up the sheet of all the scratches, which I think makes it very easy for the customer to just look at it and go through it.
I will give kudos to Naira, though, for their scratch page, where the scratches are separate. I hate the tracks where the scratches
they
and
commingle.
because
Overweights, jockey changes.
At some point during the day, I at
miss
least
it.
have one where I have to
Absolutely.
go, oh, okay, this one's still
Excellent
in.
point. You're right, because John Embrial goes through the changes, everything together by race. But the scratch page, you're right. Then they have a separate page for the equipment, separate page for the jockey. I agree. I think it's very well done. On the 8th race, I am 819. Chris and Dave, my top pick for the aforementioned Rob Atras. Second off the July 16th claim at Saratoga. Just got beat going the 1-turn dirt mile here. So Kendrick Carbouche gets them out once again for number 8. Chris and Dave, my top pick. For second, number 1, part of the entry scheduled to break for the number 3 post position. Hasn't run since Saratoga. Pioneer Spirit. And for third, number 9, Gemography. Rudy Rodriguez, who is having a far better meet, which made all the sense in the world. 819.
9th is stakes action, the Sands Point Grade 2 event, $200,000 up for grabs. And again, this one's scheduled to stay on the grass at 1 mile and an eighth. And the return of Pizza Bianca makes this race interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Winner of the Breeders' Cup race last year. I have her in the mix. She's on the outside. Now, they're going to start at the top of the chute, so I don't think the outside post position is that much of a hindrance, especially for her. I think she can drop over with Jose Ortiz. But I am 139. Skims draws the rail. And here, speaking of Frankel, an offspring of Frankel, Andrew Rosen. So these will be the very easy to follow silks of Chiefs Crown. Mr. McGahee sends out this runner off a second place finish at Kentucky Downs. For second, number 3, Eminent Victor, Chad Brown's runner, just got beat in the Lake George. Easily beaten in the Lake Placid. Makes the first start since August 20th. And for third, 5-2 on the morning line. Coming back from Ascot, number 9, Pizza Bianco. And for those who don't like it, it's pizza white or white pizza, which I don't think I ever had till I was about 15 years old. And I like it very much.
I like it. I don't remember when the first time I had it was, but
Yeah.
I like it.
I like it very much.
It's pizza.
Without red sauce.
10th and final today at Belmont at the Big A, scheduled to go off at about 5:30. Again, they remain on the grass here. Top of the page, I've written very competitive in this allowance non-winners of one other than.
Well, they had like 3 AEs, 3 MTOs. They max out at the entries of 16 in here, and I am all inside, as it were. 2-1-3, and Mrs. Green gets my top pick. Beaten favorite, taking on winners for the first time most recently. A solid effort, really has been consistent of late. Jose Lescano has ridden this horse in all 5 career starts. For second, the rail, Christophe Clement sends out Breeze Easy. Coming out of the Pebble Stakes, that's a route, a grade 3. Sprinting, this horse was, beaten up at Saratoga in stakes action. And for third, Fontana Freda, who's 12-1. And I must say, I think she's going to run big here today. I almost put this horse on top. I was just thinking that there's enough early speed in this race that maybe I'd want somebody off the pace, which were my rationale for my exacta selections. But 2-1-3 in the 10th.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we'll shift our attention to Keeneland. We're about 5 minutes away from the next one at British Champions Day. We'll plug that in as well, so stay tuned.
Birdstone is an outside threat. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob Ross.
Having trouble finding us? It's actually quite simple. Whether online or on your TV, it's never been easier to watch and wager on championship horse racing with Capital OTB. Simply log on to capitalotbbet.com. There you can watch our morning shows, live stream races, and wager on our state-of-the-art wagering platform. You can also watch from the comfort of your home on Spectrum Cable Channel 1250 or Fios Channel 467 and win more with Capital OTB.
Come on!
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Whoops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Handicappers Report on British Champions Day. Alongside Seth Merrow, I'm Anthony Mormino. The big A in our hip pocket. We now turn our attention to Keeneland. Claimers in for $32,000, racing a mile and a 16th on the dirt in the opener.
5, 6, 3, and 7 for me, backside of the moon. This is one of those where I say, why not right back? Won last time, and in fact, won 2 back. Laid off much of the summer and came back at the end of September and won a very similar event over at Churchill. So why not right back in with this crew this afternoon? Frosted Grace was just behind the top pick in that race last time, ran well. Why not right back in that exact completing spot? And then Blue Steel, off since the middle of December, facing some stakes company down at Gulfstream, won a Claiming Crown Stakes race just prior to that, was in good form when this horse went to the sidelines and been on the sidelines for quite a while. But the 2 bullet workouts leading in seem to indicate that he's going to be back on his toes here. I think he's going to fit nicely with this group. So in the opener at Keeneland for me, 5, 6, 3, and 7.
Second half of the early daily double, 2-year-olds, maiden special weights on the turf, racing a mile.
I'll go with Chad and Klarovich, second-time starter on the grass. Evaluate 11, 5, 4, and 10. The knock clearly is going to be the mile trip and leaving from an outside post position, but we have Irad Ortiz on board. Horse comes in off a try at Kentucky Downs. I like that they debuted there. I mean, $156,000. Why not give it a shot in the career debut? Better than split the field, finishing 5th in a field of 12. Adds the blinkers today. I'll put that one on top with the experience under the belt. Royal Salute, 12-1 on the morning line for Brian Lynch. There was a sibling called Slick Trick, 4th in debut, but won in the second start, going a mile on the turf. There was another sibling called Best Chance. Took 5 starts to win, but the win, a mile on the turf. Today, it's a mile on the turf. So Royal Salute at 12-1 on the morning line, I think, is very interesting, very playable in here. Iron Crusader, paid a lot of money for this horse going back to Ocala March. The workouts are a little bit intriguing. I think this one at a 15-1 morning line price could be a player in here. Game Warden, again, experience counts. So I have a couple with experience bookending a couple of fresh faces, but Game Warden off the first 2 starts for Belmont is interesting. Interesting moving to the turf. I'll trust Belmont to be making a clever move here, getting 6-1 there. So 3-1 on the top choice, but then there are some prices in there that make it maybe a little bit interesting to kick off an early pick 4. Keeneland second, 11, 5, 4, and 10.
Let's go to Ascot.
Mile marker in this British Champions Fillies and Mares Stakes, the Kipco British Champions Fillies and Mares, and it's Ross Carberry that leads the way. Sweet Lady second, Sela Rosa is third. Then in fourth is Ishada, Alba Flora is fifth on the inside. Thunder Kiss is next from Eternal Pearl as they now emerge out of Swinley Bottom. After the midfield horses are Lilac Road, and then further back to Mimikyu and Very Elegant and Insinuendo, Emily Dickinson and Stay Alert as they now pass the 6 furlong marker. So Ross Carberry continues to lead to Sweet Lady in second. Sela Rosa is a handy third. Then in fourth is Shada. The 2 greys still very handy. Alba Flora on the inside of Thunder Kiss. Emily Upjohn is well in touch. Pink Jacket, Frankie Dettori, followed out wide by Very Elegant. Elegant. Then Lilac Road, just behind Thunder Kiss. Mimikyu is back on the inside. Emily Dickinson wider from Insinuendo and Stay Alert as they now run into the home turn with just over 3 furlongs left to cover. Fairly steadily run race perhaps. Ross Carberry kicking from the front from Sweet Lady and Sela Rosa, followed by Ashada who travels well, shadowed by Emily Upjohn. Very Elegant is pulled to the outside, chasing hard Alba Flora from Thunder Kiss, and then Elegant Pearl down the home run. A wide open race. Emily Upjohn now being produced by Frankie Dettori to lead on the outside of Ashada is Emily Upjohn that gallops into the lead from Ashada. Ross Carberry, then Thunder Kiss. Lilac Road stays on, but entering the final furlong, it's Emily Upjohn. She's out clear. She's 2.5, 3 lengths clear of Thunder Kiss giving chase, but they're all chasing in vain, and Emily Upjohn bounces back to win the Kipco British Champions Fillies and Mares from Thunder Kiss and Insinuendo, second and third, and then followed home by Ross Carberry, Ishada, a better run for Very Elegant perhaps, and Lilac Road wasn't far behind those.
Ascot result race 3, winner 11, Emily Upjohn, second 8, Thunder Kiss, third 3 in.
And I think in European parlance, a decisive winner of the Filly and Mare Championship. It looked like anybody's race at about the 8th pole, but a clear winner in here in the soft pink
Coach
silks.
choice at 4-1 for John Gosden. Frankie Dettori on board, had come into this race with a couple wins in 4 starts this year. Tossed in a little bit of a clunker back at the end of July, but obviously rebounded nicely.
John Gosden was out at Santa Anita when I was at USC. 40 years ago. He was Southern California, then went back to England. On to the third race at Keeneland. We have Fillies and Mares. Capital B Claimers in for 20, racing 7/8.
Certainly rooting for number 4, Busy Echo. Our friend Joe Christofek and Brilliant Racing, his partnership, and as I've said before, there were some locals involved in some of their horses, so rooting for Busy Echo. I couldn't quite pull the trigger, but does have some early speed that might make the horse interesting on a class drop. But I went 2, 6, 5, and 7. I put Forever Home on top. Nice win last time. Claimed out of that. I'm not super familiar with the trainer, but has okay stats and very limited stats first off the claim, but 1 for 2, so that's pretty good. So I'm going to put this one on top. The 4-1 morning line looks a little bit attractive. Al Gold, Gold Square Racing, and George Breu have Sue Ellen Michigan, very lightly raced. Comes down to Keeneland from an allowance victory at the Finger Lakes. This is a New York bred. Started the career with 4 starts on the NYRA circuit. Broke the maiden in the debut. Then they went into the spin-away. Then they went into a New York bred stakes race. So obviously, off the debut effort, there were some high hopes. Hasn't quite lived up to that, but did seem to get back on track perhaps last time and might fit with these. And then Legendary, actually, I wound up switching those around. Legendary Gift from Prairie Meadows is in the second spot for me, coming out of a win most recently at Prairie Meadows, and seems to be in good form. But again, the Prairie Meadows form has to be wondered about moving to Keeneland. But I did put that one in the second spot because, again, you also have to wonder about the Finger Lakes form for Sue Ellen Michigan. So in the third at Keeneland, 2, 6, 5, and 7.
I wonder the last time we had a Finger Lakes Keeneland.
I don't know.
On to the fourth. 6 furlongs, Claimers in for 40.
Not, it is not often, I'm
Well,
sure.
I might have to look that up.
6, 5, 7, and 3. Macron on top, coming out of Stakes Company for Steve Asmussen. Stakes race at Remington last time. Showed some punch before fading, but boy, faded badly. Faded badly in the prior start and stake at Mountaineer as well. I just go down the page and you get before those last 2, and this horse was running pretty well. Now, I'm not thrilled that they're dropping down, but the drop down maybe rebounds us to a better effort, but they're kind of giving up on a horse that, again, you go down the page, ran pretty well. So I could go either way with this one, but I'm going to give it a chance here with the drop in for the claiming price. Cost basis in the second spot. as the name indicates, was claimed away from Chad Brown and Klarovich up at Saratoga, moved into a new barn, and then was immediately claimed away as well up at Saratoga. Now goes out for a Flying P and Robertino Diodoro. I think is a square fit with this bunch. Has a nice little bullet workout two-back at Ellis that says the horse should be on his toes. So cost basis with Tyler Gaffleone, dangerous, and aggressivity for Marshall Graham and 10 Strike Racing. This one at 20-1, I just think Marshall Graham and his whole outfit are very clever. Marshall's a numbers guy, and I think he uses a lot of the numbers when he's looking to claim and where they spot horses, and I think they do it very, very cleverly. So whenever I see the 10 Strike name involved, I'm always going to take an extra look. So this one, fresh off the claim at 20-1, I think is very intriguing. In the fourth at Keeneland, 6, 5, 7, and 3.
On to the fifth. We don't see this very often. This is a 4X. There are a couple other conditions, but this is allowance 4 other than a mile and 16th on the turf.
I have it 4, 2, 8, and 1. I'm going to put In Love on top. Tried Kentucky Downs last time. Ran okay, 5th in a field of 11. It wasn't great, but it was a little restricted stakes race. This horse prior to that had been in some stakes races, the Manhattan, the Maker's Mark. So been facing some pretty nice horses. I think this is a nice field, but on the class, I'll put In Love on top. Moulage in the second spot. Irod Ortiz and Chad Brown stepping out of a poor performance in the Bernard Baruch. But that was off a little bit of a layoff from March until September. I think with that one under the belt, maybe we get closer to what we saw back in March down at Gulfstream, and that would certainly be good enough. And, some of the races over in Europe were good enough as well. So I'm going to expect an improved performance from that one. And then Win From Within in the third spot for me. Comes in from Monmouth, comes in with a couple of wins, bookending a fourth-place finish in the last 3 starts. So I think in some decent form right now, and again, seems to be a good fit with this bunch in here. In the fifth, I have it 4, 2, 8, and 1.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action from Keeneland. And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Turn our attention to race number 6, 3-year-olds and up. Fillies and mares maiden special weights. Mile 16th on the dirt.
I have it 7, 8, 4, and 3 up with Sunny River on top for Brad Cox. A little bit of a bridesmaid situation here. 4 second-place finishes and 4 starts, but did cross the wire first in one of those and was DQ'd. But still, maybe a little bit camera shy, but does look to have the talent to break through with this particular field. Forever After All, if you're looking for an alternative, the races 2 and 3 back were good enough. Last time ran okay, just it was a number that was a little bit light, but that was at a mile and an eighth, cuts back a little bit today. And again, I think what we saw 2 and 3 back, probably a little more what you can count on from this horse. So I'll put that one in the mix. And as I say, if you're looking for an alternative, I could make the case there. Inventing in the third spot, Todd Pletcher trainee, Luis Saez on board for Rapoli and Company, coming out of a couple of thirds, one up at Saratoga, one at Belmont at the Big A. Both of them kind of fit with this group. I think this one probably has to step forward a little bit, maybe to get to the top 2, but I don't think that's out of the question. I don't think it's out of the question that one or the other of the top 2 step back a little bit. So that could be another alternative as well. In the 6th at Keeneland, 7, 8, 4, and 3.
On to the 7th, we have 2-year-olds, maiden special weights on the turf, racing a mile.
4, 12, 8, and 1. I will say they were just a little deep on the AEs. The 14, not so much, but the 15. The 14 and the 15, if one or the other of those get in, take an extra look. I think they could both be serious players, but again, they're on the AE list, and I just wasn't quite sure where to put them in the mix because of that. But 4-12, 8-1 for me. Worthington on top for Mike Maker. Decent little debut at Kentucky Downs. Again, one of those rich maiden special races. One of those that you would think provides a nice foundation to build off of with the experience under the belt. Won't be shocked at all to see this one move forward. Giovannino in the second spot, coming in off a debut at Indiana. Little bullet workout subsequent leading into this. And another one that I think this is a debut that a horse can move forward from. You have Into Mischief on top as well. So this is a win early type breeding-wise with the experience under the belt. Maybe we get it done today. In a similar scenario for the son of Bolt d'Oro, Daryl's Bolt. Little win early breeding with Bolt d'Oro on top. Did not live up to that at all in the debut, but 6.5 on the dirt. Now they move over and stretch out a little bit on the turf. With that breeding, 15-1 morning line. Won't be surprised at all if that holds up or it floats up. Daryl's Bolt, I think, very, very intriguing. I'll also mention Safe Trip Home. First-time starter for a trainer who does very well with first-out runners. You get 20-1 there. I have that one at the bottom of my mix, but that one, again, on the trainer stat, looks very intriguing. In the 7th, 4-12, 8-1.
8th race on the card. This was the same condition for the boys yesterday. That Strobe won. Now time for 3-year-old fillies to go 6 furlongs. Non-winners of 2 races lifetime.
5, 6, 2, and 1. Number 5, Scenic Masterpiece. Comes in from Southern California. I found that whole scenario intriguing. The trainer does very well out in Southern California. This one's running okay and putting up numbers that are pretty solid. Comes out of a little stakes action over at Santa Anita. Just taking a look at this one and the rest of this field, I think is going to fit nicely if the form translates over to Keeneland, which I think is likely. You're So Cilia in the second spot. The last race obviously jumps out. This one looks like one of those that had the light bulb moment, or maybe just preferred Churchill. We'll learn a little bit more about that today. First couple of starts at Ellis, but the Churchill maiden breaker, clearly an improved effort. I'm hoping it's more of a light bulb moment, and this horse will run something closer to what we saw at Churchill last time. And Cancel This also ran well at Churchill last time. This one with much more experience than the number 6 horse, but the Dale Romans trainee seems to be coming into this in the right way. In the 8th at Keeneland, 5, 6, 2, and 1.
And when I saw the entries for our version of the Queen Elizabeth, which is for 3-year-old fillies, grade 1 going 9 furlongs, where is Spenderella, the impressive winner of the Del Mar Oaks for Grand Motion? Not in here, but we have an even money favorite.
Well, waiting for the Breeders' Cup? Maybe?
I don't think so. Just a guess.
You don't, so you think the horse is on the sidelines?
Well, I wouldn't. I would think so. I don't think that's a 3-year-old filly looking to take on their elders. This is the one race where I think a lot of trainers have found to be the end of the line for domestic 3-year-old fillies. They don't want to take on their elders. This is the end of the road. Yeah, They're not looking to.
You stay in the age restricted.
Yes.
Yeah, no question. 6, 2, 4.
Till December 31st.
Yeah, 6, 2, 4, and 7. I went with McCulloch. Looked pretty good up at Saratoga in that Jockey Club Oaks. Looked pretty good at Belmont at Aqueduct in the Jockey Club Oaks.
Looked good at Saratoga. Yeah, just got run over by.
Before that, looked good. With
the Moonlight.
The European.
The Godolphin, Charles
runner.
Appleby.
And then started that series down at Belmont with a win there. So a couple of wins and the second place finish in the Phillies side of things with that turf triple. So comes in really good form and obviously had proven herself in that series. So I'm going to land there. Gina Romantica in the second spot. It's Chad Brown and Peter Brandt coming off a second in the Pebbles. Nice little win in a restricted stake up at Saratoga before that. Those were the first 2 tries on the turf. So seemed to have found a little bit of a home on the grass and continues that today. New Year's Eve in the 3rd spot for Brendan Walsh. Comes in off a stakes try at Kentucky Downs, but was 3rd in the Saratoga Oaks Invitational behind McCulloch in the start before that. Tyler Gaffleone on board is a plus as well. In the QE2, 6, 2, 4, and 7.
10th and final, 6 furlong starter allowance.
10, 7, 11, and 4 up at Beverly Park on top. Nice win at Churchill in the latest start. I don't think that's out of the question for a replay today, but Feast for Gerald Bennett comes in with very good numbers, but comes in with good numbers at Monmouth. Gerald Bennett, a high percentage guy, but again, a lot of times these high percentage guys, we see it up at Saratoga very often, come in from out of town. A little bit, waters get a little bit deeper. I think that could be the case at Keeneland as well, perhaps for Gerald Bennett. And then in the third spot, we'll take a look at number 11, the Queen's Jewels. Comes in off a second place finish behind top pick Beverly Park.
I've seen that.
So has to be playable as well. The Queen's Jewels?
Yeah.
It's a movie?
No, the real things.
Oh, you've seen the actual jewel. Oh, all right, okay. When you said I've seen that, and then,
I've seen that.
so what? There's like a
The Crown Jewels.
There's like a
the
museum. where
Tower.
you go to,
Well, it's in the Tower of London, the Bloody Tower and everything. They're right there. It's it is quite
were they
impressive.
I was going to say, were they
Very
impressive?
impressive. And I'm not a guy that really works for me, but quite impressive. I'm like, okay, jewelry, rocks, whatever. Here's a quick thing, a little side note here on Champions Day. Oaklawn, that I know you enjoy, announced their stake schedule. 4 $1 million races. We were talking about the brief meet at Kentucky Downs where they had, and we're talking their own, not when you get the Breeders' Cup, but your own racing association. They had the 4 $1 million races. I liked their conditions, which basically they wanted grade 1 winners to show up to trip the $1 million. But Oaklawn Park has 4, the Rebel, the Arkansas Derby, the Oaklawn Handicap, and the Apple Blossom. They released their schedule. So obviously continuing to move that meet onward
Oaklawn
and
has
upward.
stepped it up with the casino down there.
The casino, and then they start in December now, so it's really working out. It's British Champions Day at Ascot, and we're still waiting. Their QE2 will be coming up. That's one of the world's premier mile races, and then, of course, the Champion Stakes at 1.25 miles with Baid in there. You'll have Dick Powell on Racing Across America at the top of the hour. Who else you got?
Joe Clancy, because again, it's the big day, on
for
the jump side of things down at Far Hills, and there is wagering available. So we'll
Yes.
give some thoughts. The Grand National and beyond. Unfortunately, the Mean Queen had another little setback. So, but Snap Decision is in there, and the horse that beat him last time, getting I want to say 28 pounds in the race down at Belmont. Things even out a little bit today, though.
All right, then. He stays, I go. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy this great afternoon of racing. Should have said day.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.